hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars, which could have been a good thing. The people of California would have owned the water. But there were two Californians thirstier than the rest, and they wanted more water. Linda and Stuart Resnick, and they had a lot of political power.
All right, everyone, welcome and Happy New Year to this episode of the Convoluted Podcast. It's Liz and Jesus here, aka Tyrant Dominus, welcoming the new year. It's been a wild start of the year for the US, and it's the big event. He hasn't even started yet, and it's been wild.
I know. Yeah.
But how has your year been so far, Liz?
Well, it's just starting out. It's been a little chaotic. We are been up and down a body or two, so it's
welcome
been a
to
little
the
bit
club.
Of fun. You can't do anything about an emergency appendectomy, or your appendix being removed, because it decided today's a good day. I'm gonna burst.
What?
Trying to make sure that coworker stays off another week, because she definitely needs another week to recover. This is not something you just watch on back into work. I'm going to lift 100-pound box of fluids today.
What are you talking about? I started my year with almost throwing out my back again, and I still went to work.
Hey, Zeus. Jesus, what are you doing?
I don't actually know. I didn't really do anything majorly strenuous. It was more of a scare than anything, but fortunately, it's one of those things where I just went back to my exercise routine that I was given, and just kind of going back, and I was not that bad, but I was definitely sore for a couple days, and not the best way to start the year, not the best way, but I am recovering and just taking it a lot easier. Vacation is around the corner for me, so I'll use that time to recover even more and just kind of catch up on things. And talking about catching up on things, for sure, this episode recording, we are running a little late for our recording. Almost didn't happen on my end as well. Not you, my end. So this is what I was going to explain to Liz what happened. So, a bunch of things happened just past last night, just to get here. And nothing wild. It's just general work shit. And when I got home like around 1 a.m. I'm like, okay, I'll get some rest, get ready, hopefully get the email from Dottie, make sure I have the docket and everything ready for us to get through today, and get everything going, right? No, that did not happen. So it's the weekend, my brother doesn't work, so we normally we either game on Fridays, but that didn't happen because of work commitments, sadly. But when he got home, he was watching the new Goosebumps Vanishing miniseries. Even though it's called a movie, it's like a miniseries. It's like technically a sequel to the original Goosebumps miniseries that came out a little bit ago. Did you watch that at all? Your audio is not coming out again. Sorry, everyone. Give us a second. It's a new year. Same old technical difficulties. Give us 1 second. You were just talking to. Go ahead and talk. I did not hear a single thing you said. Alright, everyone, we're going to be right back after we fix this. Okay, we are back, everyone. Yeah, we are back. We are back. Oh, I almost forgot to open the docket too. Need to get that opened. Well, but yeah. So that's kind of what happened. No, wait, I didn't tell you. So you so you didn't see you haven't seen the new or the past or the new iteration of the Goosebumps shows, right?
I've seen the movies. The first 2 movies that came out with Jack Black.
That one.
Oh wait, maybe I only saw the first one. I don't think I saw the second one.
But you haven't seen the Disney Plus kind of the remakes.
No, I have not.
Like you are a fan of the Goosebumps books, right?
Yes, I was a fan of the books, and I was we were watching the shows. The movies, the original ones back on VHS. It feels like it gets further and further away from that VHS.
Oh, trust me, me and one of my family members who we graduated together just realized we've been out of a high school for 20 years. Oh no, when it's been 20 years when we would have started our freshman year.
Okay, because I'm coming up to, what is it? It was 18 years last year, so 19 years this year.
So wait, what?
I'm almost there. I'm almost there at 20 years of high school.
Oh, to graduating high school. Okay.
Yeah, graduating high school.
Yeah. We did a weird thing where it's like 20 years and we would have started high school. Anyways. But yeah, as a fan of the Goosebumps series books and the original movies, definitely the Jack Black films were not the best example. They were fun and goofy. I think I only saw the first one. But yeah, I didn't see the second one of those. Yeah. But I've heard great things about the anthology series, the ones that are on Disney Plus, and I can say for a fact that the second miniseries, The Vanishing, is another. Well, I never saw the first one, so I might be going back to see the first one. But the second one is definitely a good watch for Goosebumps fans. And that's one of the reasons why I almost did not make it to today's recording, is because my brother decided, let's watch an episode or 2 before we go to bed. And we binged the entire thing in one night.
So no sleep for Jesus. Got it.
Well, I took a 2-hour nap, an hour-ish nap. So I'm like, yeah, we just ended up. So it was good. I'm planning to write a review later to this week. I'm not writing it today. I'm after this recording, everyone, I'm going straight to bed.
I'm going out to celebrate a 3-year-old. Happy birthday, Sammy.
So, but yeah, that's why I almost did not make it here. Like, because we just kept watching it. It was a mix of my brother just felt inclined. I could have watched 2, maybe 3 episodes and then like, okay, we'll finish watching later. But he just said like one more episode, and it just like, we're almost over. It's just gonna happen, and we just ended up watching the entire 8-episode miniseries. And you know how these miniseries are. They're not 20-minute episodes, 30-minute episodes. They're 45-minute to an hour long episodes. So, which, to say the least, if like I said, if you are a fan of the Goosebumps series, or you know a little bit of the first one, definitely the second one. Like I said, I finished watching it. They are a great adaptations of some of the old works. This one in particular, The Vanishing. Do you remember most of the stories for the most part, in a general sense?
In a general sense, yeah. But I don't remember The Vanishing. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I outgrew it by the time it came out or something.
So The Vanishing is the name of the title of the miniseries. It's not.
Oh, okay.
It's just inspired by some of the books. Now, when I say books, I mean they combine multiple books into one expanded series. So it's a long expanded thing, mixing in different things. Let me see if I can. Here it is. Okay, so just for a little hints for everyone who would like to, The miniseries The Vanishing mainly takes inspiration from Don't Go into the Basement. Do you remember that story?
Oh yes, I do remember that one. I actually think I remember seeing that VHS movie once upon a time.
Yeah, and it has the guy from Everyone Loves Raymond as the father.
Romano?
I believe so.
Character's name.
Yeah, and he does a really good job. Like this is kind of like a little sneak peek review of what I'm going to be writing. But yeah, so that's the main inspiration. But here, so what they
okay.
Yeah. So what's interesting with these like Goosebumps S miniseries is like they combine a bunches of the stories into one long like episodic miniseries, right? So they take little aspects of everything and make it into one cohesive story, and I think they did a fair job incorporating some of the other ones. Let's see if you remember any of these other stories. Do you remember The Girl Who Cried Monster?
No.
Monster Blood.
No, I don't remember the one.
Really? The Haunted Car.
Vaguely.
The Ghost Next Door.
I think I remember reading that book. Maybe once upon a time again.
And then Welcome to Camp Nightmare.
I feel like I read that book, but again, it's been a hot minute. That came out when I was in grade school. Yeah.
But anyways, I remember I knew 3 of these plus 4 with Don't Go Into the Basement. So I was like, okay, how are they gonna do this? And I was like, because we wanted to see what stories were gonna get incorporated, because the first one incorporated, what was the first one that incorporated? Let's see here. Okay, yeah. So the first one had definitely everyone knows this. Slappy.
Oh yes, Slappy. Basically, the main villain of the first season, if I'm correct, the first movie that we watched. So,
Trying to find. Trying to find an article here. Say Cheese and Die. That's a good one.
Oh, that was a good one. I remember that one.
Yeah. The Haunted Mask.
Oh yeah, wasn't that a movie? I remember that being a VHS at least.
This is one of my favorite. Cuckoo Clock of Doom.
I think I read the book. I don't think I read or saw the movie or show, whatever it was at that time.
Go Eat Worms.
Maybe.
Like I mentioned earlier, Night of the Living Dummy.
Oh yes, that's a good one.
And Welcome to Horrorland.
Oh, not familiar with that one.
No, I knew a couple of those, but yeah, like what they do is they do, like I said, they do a compilation of some of these books, and I kind of now want to, after watching the Vanishing, I kind of want to see what they did in the first Disney Plus miniseries and go from there. Is there any Goosebumps book you would like to see incorporated into potentially maybe a third miniseries if they do one?
I don't know. I have to go see what other books I have. I haven't. Like
Nothing
I said,
comes to mind.
A really, really long time.
Really?
I was trying to get Mel into it at one point.
No, and no luck.
But about getting him in, nope.
No.
No.
Well, I think using the Disney Plus series would be a good gateway, I would say, because I'm like, oh, what was that story about, right? Because you can just get because you won't get you won't get the full story. You'll just get some context. So like getting to see a little bit of it would be really fun. So there's two stories definitely that I would like to see. One is the piano one. Do you remember that one?
I think so. If I saw the one. This all came out. Yeah. Sorry, I'm so like trying to think out what one where I would love to see. Pianos Can Be a Murder. Yeah, I don't remember that one too much. Maybe. Oh gosh, I would like. I'd have to see the covers. I think.
Time to go back and time to go back.
Remember.
But you've been reading more.
Yes, but it's not like anything. It's more like on the R-rated spectrum. Maybe approaching the X-rated.
Oh, just general smut, like.
Yeah. Well, I'm in a smut right now. It's in a fantasy kind of based one right now, so.
Smut, yeah.
Smut, but on the fantasy genre side of it, so.
That's
got dragons in it.
That's general smut. You are probably just dipping your toe. There was a TikTok I watch where you can kind of like these quote, because those types of books were really popular and they are like a dime a dozen on the bookshelf, right? If you go to your local like grocery store or Barnes and Nobles or anything, you kind of see that section, right, with those like really like glossy art covers that are things, right? They get pumped out these days. They get pumped out. I bet you if we took like a couple, like 2-3 hours, we had drinks, we could write one, and just like publish it. That would be a really fun idea. Let us know, guys. Do you guys want us to just write a random story,
Smut related,
a random erotica? Because it's pretty simple. Because either you kind of get the genre. Do you go with generic soap opera, or do you mix it with werewolf, vampire, medieval fantasy? Like that's literally the genres these days that are popular, and nothing.
Well, actually, I read 2 books so far this year. I take that back.
But there, no offense to what people like, that whatever gets you off, right? It's one of those things where it's
whatever gets me reading. It's not really getting me off.
Like that, whatever gets you off. Okay. But yeah, it definitely. Yeah, talking about reading and so, is there like, now that it's the New Year's, like Happy New Year's, everyone, once again, are there like goals you want to, like, we always do this, but it's like goals you want to set for yourself throughout this year? We talked a little bit last year about it, but is there, now that it's been a little bit now, things have been settling in, right? Are there goals that you have set for yourself that you want to do within the next couple months?
I want to say the goals I would like to achieve in getting back to a regular regimen of like going back to the gym. I have been really bad since last year, about halfway through, because the night shift took over and my mom was out of town and it was everything but.
Yeah, you kind of just lose the ebb and flow.
I had a very eventful year last year, so I honestly, I think I cannot complain about last year, how it was amazing and awesome, and I want to make this year just as extra special too. I mean, maybe not as extravagant, but maybe just as amazing and as awesome as ever. Always making plans and doing things in here or there. So,
nice.
What about you?
Oh, sorry, everyone. I'm creating a small 12-page document of what I want to do this year.
It's a small 12-page. It's single spaced. 12 font.
12 font, yeah. It's more so there's a couple things to line up. Definitely there are a lot of trips I want to do that won't need that much, but it's definitely something. It's more so just some regimens I want to get into. I've been doing fairly well. There's like I said, vacations is around the corner. I'm going to be using that week to kind of solidify some of the things. Like I said, what we said last year, when it comes to these kind of like resolutions, right? These goals, right? It's best not to jump into them. It's better to prep yourself into them. So that's what I'm using the next couple days of my vacation a little bit to kind of prep what I want to do going into this year. I just don't want to like jump in. I want to have like a list and a docket of information, like, okay, this is the thing that I can do, some of the resources available, and not just kind of like fumble and then lose my way. Definitely a few of the things is just kind of, like I said, getting my other podcast back and going. That's been in the back burner, sadly. And just kind of catching up with a bunch of things. Second thing is just catching up with people a little bit more now that I have a little bit more free time. And then we're doing a kind of a weight loss challenge. So there's kind of getting all that properly engaged and in a healthy manner. We're setting a date and a rough goal and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of my generic one. Like I said, I'm working on a large document and a big one, Liz. Which there's a big part that it's best to talk in the bonus episode. A big portion of. So look forward to that episode because I have a big project that I'm working for this year. But yeah. All right. Let's get started a little bit. Is there anything before we do that to go over? Because definitely this year has been popping off.
Hey, I know. Yeah. Nope. I am so glad. It's not looking forward to what's happening in the United States. But, looking forward to what this year might come for us. So
yeah. So some like Liz says, there has been a lot of things happening in the States. Definitely our friends up north have also had some stuff from they getting themselves a new prime minister to us having multiple attacks and accidents just in the beginning of the year. It's been wild. And then the closest one, the wildfires in California. We'll be talking about it a little bit. To all our friends in California, some family. I definitely have some family and friends down there. We've been trying to keep in contact. Have any of your friends or family been affected so far?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
hopefully they're doing well.
Definitely ours were fortunately a good a ways from that. Trying to pull, but yeah, they were fortunately away from that. But it's crazy. It's people forget it. California had a wildfire we talked about a little bit ago. It's been a bit, but yeah, it gets wild out there, right?
Yeah, it's dry and it's not wet. It's crazy how things go. So I am it's not like an unusual thing. My friend's like, oh, I've been there for 2 years in Pasadena. I'm like, I lived in the city of Orange, and the fire department would sit up at the top of our cul-de-sac to kind of still head off to the mansion that lived up there. But I would still remember having those people it's just funny. And like, I remember because we always had to prepare, making sure our pictures were like taken down and put in boxes and in the car ready to go in case we had to leave in the middle of the night. So
have you been staying up to date with any of the things that are happening there as far as the news, things like that?
I have not been able to even sit down, and when I read, that was my only like free time. And that was my half-hour lunch. Everything else has been run, go.
Okay. Yeah, I've been I've seen some. Damn, it is real bad. It's sad. It's definitely saddening. No one should go through what's happening down there. But we're going to be getting to the conspiracy of things a little bit, jumping into this. How did it get this far?
Already starting this year with conspiracy? Oh my word.
I'm trying to find the docket portion of this. Where? Oh, it's literally the first one. There we go. All right, everyone, we're going to be watching a video. Give us 1 second.
I've
All right,
heard
then.
about this. Hold up.
Okay, so let's go over some of these things
Talk about
here.
this?
I don't think we did. So let's go over this really quick. So where are we here? So we're talking about the wildfires in Los Angeles and how capitalism plays a massive role in not only allowing these disasters to escalate, but also installing meaningful solutions to climate change. No, Liz, just.
Yeah, well, no, I think there's a valley that used to be
The docket,
flooded, and then I don't have the docket. You never sent it to me.
It's in there.
I'm sure I don't have it.
Did you check our points?
Oh, there it is. Oops.
Oh my God, Liz is fumbling the start of the year. She's
already fumbling. I'm out.
And I'm the one that's on 1 hour of sleep here, everyone. Remember that. 1 point for Jesus this year so far.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm here and keeping it lively and relatable, apparently.
So
what's the burning issue today, Tyrant?
You are two sentences behind.
Oh, damn.
Anyways, the article, the video we're going to be diving to argues about the capitalist focus on profits over people and has created systematic failures in managing natural resources, funding critical public services, and addressing climate change head on. So let's catch this video, everyone. So, ready, jump in.
While 40 million Californians suffer through unprecedented drought, one billionaire couple owns a massive share of the state's water system, seized in a series of secretive meetings 2 decades ago. That system was largely paid for by the very taxpayers whose water these billionaires hold hostage. Urban water systems are desperate for water, but in 2023, they'll receive just 5% of what they requested from the state. The Resnicks are the biggest farmers in California. As of 2007, they owned 4 San Francisco's worth of farmland, and nearly half of Americans buy at least one of their products. Their pistachios, their pomegranate juice, their mandarins, their flowers. It's all under one massive umbrella, the Wonderful Company, a privately owned company worth at least $5 billion. The majority owners, the Resnicks, are worth at least $8 billion. How were they able to take over such a large percentage of what should be a shared public resource? This is The Classroom from More Perfect Union, and today we're looking at how the Resnicks got rich. Linda.
So, have you heard anything about this before?
No. Not the Resnicks in general.
No, the name's not. I know you're originally from Cali. Their names are not synonymous down there at all?
I don't know. If they said 2 decades ago this happened, so we're looking at what? What is it? 2005. I was not even in the state of California at that time. I was up here in the Northwest.
All right, let's find out. Let's find out what this couple, this family, did to kind of steal California water.
From More Perfect Union, and today we're looking at how the Resnicks got rich. Linda is a former child actress, the daughter of Jack Harris, a successful movie distributor of the 1950s, most well known for The Blob.
Starring Steve McQueen and a cast of exciting young people.
At 19, she founded her own advertising agency. Stuart was born to a middle-class New Jersey family and started his first business, a janitorial service, in grad school. He eventually acquired American Protection Services, a burglar alarm and security company. Linda approached him about marketing services for the company, and they hit it off, not knowing that one day they'd work together to take over California's water. The lovebirds became business partners. They bought Teleflora, the flower delivery company, and the Franklin Mint, purveyors of inane little tchotchkes. Linda was the marketing person, and Stuart was in charge of business. As Linda told the LA Times in 1993, "I've always said that Stuart and I together make one perfect person, like little salt and pepper shakers." In the late
They were a very, very unique power couple. They well balanced themselves out really well. In the business sense, you know, that's hard to find when it comes to, because well, I don't know if they'll explain any of their actual like relationship, but it sounds like they had a very reasonable relationship, romantically and financially, it seems like, and they were very smart with their business negotiations, to say the least. That's, you know, sometimes that's how you kind of get where you need to get these days, those days, right? You had to grow. So no major like offense. They just were smart in how they were handling. They each knew their strengths and played and helped each other's weaknesses. So, you know, power to them. But how did that power kind of corrupt them? That's the real question. So,
80s, they found their primary industry, agriculture. They got into the pistachio business. Linda said, "We've done more for the pistachio than anyone ever since it was planted in the Garden of Eden. My husband should be canonized for all the work he's done." They started branching into other products, almonds, pomegranates, citrus, wine, and acquiring more and more land to cover it, including some very important land in Kern County, which granted them water rights in the area. As the Resnicks were building their empire, the state of California was building new water infrastructure with taxpayer money. California's natural water supply is very inconsistent. Vastly differing amounts of rainfall means the state can go from surplus to drought and back very easily. So they build water banks to store water during surpluses to have during droughts. Do
you have any knowledge about this?
I do remember there would be time they'd be like, "Oh yeah, could you limit your water source? Like only taking 5 minute showers and this and that, you know, that little stuff." I remember growing up, "Oh, we're under drought again, guys. Watch, you know, in that water, don't use it, don't water your lawns, you know, that kind of stuff." Basically that little stuff that we were told not to do. So, yeah, I remember growing up like that. Definitely.
Okay, so there is reason, and this is kind of one of the reasons as well. So let's find out more.
Vastly differing amounts of rainfall means the state can go from surplus to drought and back very easily. So they build water banks to store water during surpluses to have during droughts. One important storage facility is the Kern Water Bank, started in 1988. The facility was built with hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars, which could have been a good thing. The people of California would have owned the water. But there were two Californians thirstier than the rest, and they wanted more water: Linda and Stuart Resnick, and they had a lot of political power. We'll get to that. In 1994,
so the people paid for it, but they wanted to use it. That's what I'm following so far, right? Or do you think?
How I'm understanding. I know that's how exactly I'm understanding it. Sorry, just like when I think about the omens. I don't know why this came back, but I remember growing up, I think towards the last few years of my California existence, there was no Walmart, like a lot of nuts were not getting watered, and there were a lot of fires, and yeah, I just remember that, and there was going to be a shortage on almonds that year. I just remember that back in 2000s, I think.
Okay.
State water officials, water infrastructure contractors, and agricultural landowners with water rights arranged a secretive meeting at a resort in Monterey Bay, California. These groups, a mix of private companies and public agencies, rewrote California's water rules without any input from voters, taxpayers, or legislators. The new rules, called the Monterey Plus Agreement or the Monterey Amendments, were devastating for working Californians, and great for agriculture billionaires. The original code included urban preference, a long-standing rule that in times of drought, the state water board would give urban areas, where people live, access to water supplies before agricultural interests. Monterey axed that. That means that in times of drought, the water systems for normal Californians would have to buy water from private companies because they weren't getting it from the state.
So the old way was, in case of droughts, the main public water department would help the people. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
And what's the new
I feel
way?
like that was right, because that was like what happened back in the early 2000s. We weren't watering like trees. We were watering the people there.
But then it was changed. So the agreement changed it to what again, Liz?
They reversed it basically. People have to buy the water in order to so they weren't giving it to the water. Now the water has to be bought to deliver to the residents. What I'm understanding it.
And then the public and then the public water went to the agricultural companies, not the people.
Yep.
And this is also the taxpayers' water, right? The taxpayer money going into it. Okay, I'm not happy, but I'm following so far.
Californians would have to buy water from private companies because they weren't getting it from the state. The new agreement also loosened regulations on paper water. That's water that doesn't necessarily exist anywhere but on paper. The full quantities of water that providers could have, but don't actually need to have. Today, 5 times as much water has been promised and sold as actually exists. And importantly, the meeting changed ownership of the Kern Water Bank. What once belonged to the state was transferred to a few private water contractors, one of which was Westside Mutual, a wholly owned subsidiary of Wonderful Foods. The wonderful employee who runs Westside, Bill Phillimore, is the chairman of the public organization that manages the Kern Water Bank. Boom. One
how
secret meeting,
convenient.
And the Resnicks owned nearly 60% of an important California water resource, built with hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money. The new ownership, combined with the rules on paper and surplus water, meant that during times of drought, the Resnicks could sell Kern water back to the state water systems. They took Californian taxpayers' water and sold it back to them, both literally as the water supply and also to grow expensive food like gourmet pistachios and pomegranate juice. They converted the people's water into products many can't afford. And that's just one water bank. The Resnicks also have control of other water boards and have been sued for directing more water towards their properties. So how do they get away with this Chinatown-level chicanery?
Gonna be a lot of irate citizens when they find out that they're paying for water that they're not gonna get.
With philanthropy.
Going back to what happened last year with the whole Mr. Beast debacle. You know, you hide behind the philanthropy. You ignore the bad things people do for all the good things, right? But it's so what are you getting out of this so far?
We're getting screwed. Californians are getting screwed, and they know it, and they can't do anything about it because somebody owns it, some billionaire.
And it sounds like everything is taxpayer made, but the taxpayer has to pay for the services that they have been put into it. That's what it sounds like. Like all the infrastructure that was put in for it is being used by corporations, mainly by this family. It sounds like, to basically fund their companies, all their crops, and basically all those high-end products, instead of actually helping the people. That's what it sounds like. So, how does it sound now that at least you're gone from there? But it could have been your continued existence if you ended up staying down in California somehow.
We would have never met, and we wouldn't be on this podcast.
True, but imagine if you were living down there in the general area where this was happening, and this is kind of what you found out was happening with your water bill.
Everywhere outside the state of California? I know. No, I remember water bills used to be expensive down there, and they still are. We can attest to that. Yeah, it is. It's not pleasant considering it's the taxpayer who's putting in that money, and then they have to pay for extra money for their water. Come on. We're already broke as it is. We can't even afford to live in California anymore.
Resnicks donate millions of dollars to politicians and research institutions, which help them secure control over water systems, and even get more water and more taxpayer funding. One important project is the proposed California Delta Tunnel, a taxpayer-funded project which would send water from Northern California to Central, where the Resnicks farms are. They've spent
another
hundreds
taxpayer
of thousands
fund.
of dollars on state and federal legislation and politicians who support the tunnel project. But their favorite politician is Senator Dianne Feinstein.
You come in here and you say it has to be my way or the highway.
Chair of the Energy and Water Subcommittee. She's a close personal friend of the Resnicks, attending their holiday parties in Aspen and maintaining their financial interests. A quick look through the bills she sponsored shows several which would direct money to Kern adjacent water projects. The Resnicks even ask her for things directly. When a pesky study about endangering salmon and shad fisheries threatened the Delta Tunnel, Stuart wrote a letter to Feinstein demanding a new study. She immediately forwarded it to the Obama administration, who agreed to spend $750,000 on a new study. It returned the same results as the first one. Can't buy science. But
They are really, it's always those things where when it comes to like business and anything, it's like it's always the people right? It's always who you know, and it works with business and politics. Like it's who do you rub elbows with is how you make it in the world, or even in the entertainment business, right? Like who are you rubbing shoulders with? Who are you getting that favor from? Because that's how it becomes at the end of the day. It's so yeah, it's one of those things where what it just happens, right? It just there's no ins, after, or buts in if, ands, or buts about it. And just the public has to just kind of suffer through it, right? And look what it's currently doing right now, and that's the current conspiracy right now. How are you feeling about that? That some of these proposals and stuff could have led to, are leading to some of the major things that could have been not fully prevented, but could have alleviated some of the things that happened in those areas. What are your thoughts?
I could totally believe, like, actually, it's a sad thing about life right now. This is the world, the way America, the U.S. works. I mean, you think about it, it's sad and disheartening, to tell you the truth. It's how it's all falling out of place. But it's happening, and corporations are running the world. It's always been a running joke, and it still keep going.
All right, we got to start rubbing shoulders with certain people, Liz, to make it out of here.
I know, right?
That should be our goal for the year, is just get rid of our morals and just like
Run the world.
But the Resnicks have tried. They are among the top donors to the University of California system, with their donations focusing on agricultural and ecological studies. The Resnicks have basically bought entire departments who put out studies on how water systems should be managed, and where funding should go. That leads to even more federal and state taxpayer dollars being used to fix up what the Resnicks profit off of. This is
so basically they funnel in money to certain projects to make it easier for taxpayer money to be used on other projects that are more beneficial to them. So
I figure out how to figure out this scam so I can get in on this scam and get some money my way.
gotta invest in certain things, certain people. Is just sounds like it.
All bad for California, even in a capitalistic sense. Agriculture uses 80% of California's water, but
I didn't know that.
represents 2% of its GDP. The Resnick's water monopoly is just one way their quest for wealth hurts the rest of us. They allegedly lobby for increased tensions with Iran to keep embargoes on superior Iranian pistachios. Their giant crops lead to monocultures which kill important pollinators. They siphon taxpayer dollars into the company town charter schools they own, set up to train children to work for their farms. And of course, like any company of this size, they exploit their workers. We need to treat water for what it is: a necessary public resource, a human right, and something that shouldn't be owned by anyone, and work towards legislative change that stops people like the Resnicks from stealing it. Thank you for...
Okay. All right, give us a second, everyone. So what are your thoughts on just kind of learning that little like tiny?
I feel like I'm not surprised. I feel like I'm not surprised. Why am I not surprised?
You're not. Well, it's a thing that we've talked time and time again, and now you just have some names to faces, to these shadowy individuals. It's all like alleged, but there are court cases and there are studies, so it's like there is the evidence right there, right? So everyone just has to put their own thoughts. These are just our thoughts that we're thinking. Like I've been kind of pondering this for the last couple of days, but Liz is pondering this for the first time, so she has a fresh reaction. So that's why I kind of want to have her thoughts, and mostly from someone who's originally from California. How like this could have been her life in a different time, just suffering through just that level of water shortage. So what are some of your thoughts before we kind of continue this discussion about what's happening down in California?
I guess I'm thankful for my father to actually seeing the writing on the wall. I mean, I guess he knew in a way. I mean, we may not have understood it as kids, but now that I'm an adult, and I'm like, oh, well, that kind of makes sense about everything. I mean, water was so expensive. We couldn't run the water. I mean, because it was like literally, the bill would be crazy astronomical. We couldn't have like the little fun things in life. Like water slides and stuff like that. We couldn't have a pool because it's so expensive. And if you have a pool, you got to be rich. I mean, it is a I always felt that was weird, We're always struggling for water down in California, but now it really absolutely freaking makes sense what's going on in this.
Exactly. So let's do kind of a final like lap through about what's kind of happening in California and what some of the potential things. Some of the other articles I looked into, and including the video we just watched, kind of get a bit more sense, and then we can have a final discussions. So another thing about the wildfires themselves. Climate change has made California a tinderbox. Rising temperatures, prolonged droughts, dry vegetation has turned the state into a powder keg. In Los Angeles alone, recent fires have destroyed over 1,000 structures, displaced thousands, and tragically claimed lives. As of recording this, have claimed actually of roughly 10 lives at the time of this recording. But they are still sifting through, and it's going to be a while, sadly, before we have some concrete numbers.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can't seem to find where you're sitting at. So
it's here. Systemic failures keep compounding the problem. For example, water, like we talked a little bit ago and we just going through, is a critical resource for firefighting. It's been hoarded by private companies, as we just learned.
Wait, let me get this straight. The city is literally on fire and they're cutting funding to the people fighting those fires? Who thought that was a good idea? All right, am I at that point? I don't know where we're at in this thing. I lost track. I apologize. Strike 2 for me. Is that it?
Yes. Anyway, so let's see here. Oh,
there it is. Okay. And it's just bad luck that disasters are a result of years, decades, really, of ignoring writing on the wall. Climate change hasn't some far off threat. It's right here, right now.
Yes. Continue to your next portion.
The Resnick strike, the billionaires own massive water reserves while they profit. Communities and firefighters are left scrambling.
Yes, something we just learned. Stuart and Linda Resnick are prime examples of how privatization harms the public good. When water becomes a commodity, it's harder for local governments and fire departments to access during emergencies.
That's insane. Water is literally life. How are we letting private companies monopolize it?
Yep, something we stated earlier. So that brings us to another critical point. public services. In Los Angeles, the fire department faces $17.5 million budget cuts, while the police department received $126 million boost. Ooh, I did not know that. That's...
I actually want to take a side step. I was on my way home, was it yesterday, the day before, about advertisement, about being a Californian patrol officer, and the starting rate was $125,000 a year as a cop.
Salary?
Police officer. Mm-hmm.
In California, though.
Yeah, in California. I was like, what? Do I want to be a highway patrolman?
Well, think about it. Is 100 six figures good in some places?
Yeah, no, you have to be living on the outskirts so you can afford it. Remember, we talked about this. The happy medium in California is what, $1 million or over $1 million?
Yeah, and then if you're lucky, you might not even you might not even live in the outskirts. You might be stationed somewhere more expensive. So that 100,000 is not really going to get you anything.
Nope.
Sadly.
Nope.
But yeah, I heard that advertisement as well. I'm like, what the heck is this doing on Oregon
Why
radio?
in the state of Oregon too? That's what I'm still trying to figure out. I'm like, I know that, most of these radio stations are connected, but
hey, they needed to use that. They needed to use the 126 million budget in something. Radio advertisement. Why not?
Exactly right.
All right.
It's infuriating. It's just local governments, right? Federal firefighters are also being undervalued. They're at risk of losing $20,000 in pay each year because of budget cuts.
That's true. It's a recipe for disaster. Lowering pay makes it harder to recruit and retain firefighters just when we need them the most. That's definitely just like in any employment. If you cut their pay or in anything, or reduce how much they're worth, mostly in this economy, why are you going to stay and work, right?
Exactly. So we got privatization, budget mismanagement. What's the bigger picture? How does the capitalism tie to all this together?
So the article and the video we just kind of view argues that capitalism profits driven mindset delays meaningful climate actions. Corporations resist stricter environments regulations because they cut into profits, and lobbyists work to ensure that the industries can remain unchecked. Definitely, that's something we just learned.
Yeah, so it's the same story we've seen over and over. Big money gets in the way of real change, and the people who pay the price are, surprise, regular folks like you and me.
Or at least people like you and me in California at the moment. So it's not just fires, the air quality, the loss of home, displacements of family, and these are all ripple effects of the system that prioritizes profits over people.
Now, let's not forget the intersection of climate change and inequality. Marginalization communities are hit the hardest because they often live in the areas more prone to disaster and fewer resources to recover.
That's a critical point, Liz. Until we address the systemic root of the issue, we're just putting band-aids on bullet wounds. That's a strong statement. You took that one hard. Like, what are your thoughts there? What are your thoughts there? You took that one hard.
I feel like that has been a common saying since I lived in California. We're always just putting band-aids over bullet holes every day, because between the gang violence, the droughts, the heat, the just the fight to live, essentially. I feel like we were living in the Wild West down there half the time, and every time I visit, I'm like, it just reminds me constantly that it's just what's happening.
It's just I see no real change happening in the near future. There's just the policies and systems already in place makes it hard for individuals to make any major changes. There have been some things that happened this past year at the end of the year that have stirred up the public, definitely. And definitely we have Mario's brother to kind of fan the flames, if I could be so base on that. But it's the thing is like, it's the average people that suffer for the majority, and a lot of people.
1% majority. Thank you very much.
I think it's just like the 0.5% at this point. You know, the 1% of the 1%. I think if I remember right, I was reading, was it a couple years ago, that like 1% of the entire United States like wealth belongs to 5% of Americans.
I feel like I've heard that before too.
Like, yeah, it's like that's how crazy it is. I'll look it up. Like, what are your thoughts, and kind of as we close down this discussion about the wildfires, kind of what we learned about potentially this mysterious conspiracy.
So we're looking at what, 100 billion people, at least 100 billion people living in the state of in the United States. So if you think 5% of that, that's a really, really small percentage. It just, I mean, this has been a running thing. We've always known this. This has always been talked about, how so much rich have monopolized in our living, how they control everything. It makes me worried about what the future's held, but at the same time, I think I wish, we were taxing the wealthy like crazy, so maybe they could feel what we feel. So it is not fun, and we will never be rich enough, and we'll always be poorer than the rest. So I don't know. This is frustrating. I mean, it's been a talking thing for a long time. It's not something that hasn't been talked about. Whether there'll be action, that's the other question. But if we have Luigi doing it, then we might as well be good, right?
Ooh, that is a strong statement, Liz. But definitely a lot of people share that sentiment, and that's kind of where people are. I kind of found the statement here. So here. Where is it? So I'm looking at a graph right now. Total household wealth, the share of wealth. Let's see here. If I'm reading this graph correctly. Trying to find this. This is maybe a better graph. Some of these graphs aren't that great.
Get better Excel sheets, y'all.
Wage graph. No, that is the best we can get. Okay. So it looks like the statement it says here. Back in 1990, 9% owned. The 1% owned 9% of the total wealth. And back in 2023, the 1% owned 14% all the wealth in America. And it's probably gotten higher since then.
Oh, that grew. Oh, yeah. It's grown exponentially. Considering from 1990 to 2023, it's huge.
And then the next
30 years.
And then the next portion. So basically, the next portion, the 99%, is 17%. So already 31% of the wealth is owned by the 1%.
I need to get on that gravy train.
I think it's a little late, Liz.
I'm in the wrong business, y'all. I'm in the wrong business.
Yep. There's actually a topic discussion that would have been I wanted to talk to you about. That's more worth a bonus episode. because it's a key discussion that's been going around a little at the end of last year. We talked briefly about it on passing, but it's been something more prevalent, and there's a video that goes along with it that we can discuss. It's definitely a little bit more on the what's the best way to spicy and polarizing side, so it's more in tune for one of our bonus episodes. But it's something that I would want to get your input from. But so any final thoughts as we close up this episode? Because we talked a lot longer than I thought, because we didn't get to. Sorry everyone, we had more in the docket, but little technical issues. And we talked about this longer than I thought we were. Any final thoughts?
For an 8-minute film, that was pretty good. I hope that we can figure this out a little bit better. I mean, I wish there were more Luigis in this world to fix this problem. And I'm sorry, we need people who are brave enough to branch out and do what needs to be done. Unfortunately, we have way too much wealth out there, and now it's been a running thing. They've been running at the fact that they're monopolizing our water in California, to the fact that they want to steal water from Oregon and such. It's,
oh my God, they're coming to the Pacific
crazy.
Northwest.
It's true. You think about it. They're hitting Northern California. Northern California is what they say, like the southern part of Oregon.
So for all the people down in California suffering through this wildfire, we wish you the best. That's all we can truly offer you. If there are services out there, I'll try to do my best to put links down below, because definitely the things I've watched these last couple days, just witnessing some of the reports and things of that nature, and some of the people posting on TikTok, YouTube, some of their experience, some of the things. It's always more realistic to see it when it's played from a personal perspective instead of the news, because you can kind of see it from on the ground, which just makes it more hit real. And that's, I think, the closest we'll get than being there in person, because definitely if you're there in person, it hits a lot harder, but getting it from the horse's mouth is another step below that. And so we wish you all the best. And because definitely there's a whole nother story about California not being able to have fire insurance, apparently, but that's a story for another day.
Too much money.
So Liz, go ahead and close us out.
Until next time, follow us, listen to us, share the word, spread the word. We like our listeners. We love our listeners and our viewers on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you may listen or watch us. We appreciate it. And next time, see ya.
Bye.
Anything on board after 93 can't cook. All they know is McDonald's charge their phony hot chip and lies.